I am excited that Fernando Tatis Jr., who last week we did this whole thing of like, we don't think Tatis is going to turn it on and we don't think Machado is going to turn it on, but we do have hope for Merrill. I'm starting to have hope for Tatis. I know a lot of this is the Rockies, and I don't know what to do with that, but in his last 8 games, he's got 2 home runs. He's got an OPS almost 900. He's doing pretty well. Side note, don't want to take us too far off this. Side note, Fernando Tatis Jr. might be having the best season of his career. Like, statistically might be having the best season of his career. This broke my brain this morning when I was reading AC, and he said that Tatis got his 30th stolen base, which is his career high. I was like, this is his career high in steals? I would imagine he had a season where he had like 60. And then I went this morning and I checked, and according to Baseball Reference, he's at 5.8 WAR. The highest he ever had was 2021 when we had 6.6 WAR. So he's got 12
Okay, which
games.
season would you rather have right now?
I would rather have the 2021 season.
Okay.
I like all those home runs, but the fielding, the platinum glove level fielding in right field, and the walks are just things that weren't there in 2021. And those things are valuable. They have value. That's why they contribute to WAR. And it's gonna blow my mind if after this season that all year long we've been like, I don't know, this has been pretty disappointing. Like, he got off to a hot start, but what has he done since then? If this ends up being like an almost 7 WAR season and the best statistical season of his career, advanced statistical season of his career, that would be crazy to me. So that's the thing that I'm keeping an eye on for the next couple weeks.
Well, I think part of what's contributed to that conversation is Fernando and his seemingly dissatisfied approach to this season.
It's a great point. Yeah.
I mean, whether it's something as simple as, what? I'm going to the All-Star game? I booked a trip. You know, like whether it was that moment where he didn't even consider for a single second that he was going to be an All-Star, to the point where he planned a vacation. He's like, yeah, I stink. I got to get out of here. And then, here he is. He's off to the All-Star game.
He's going to be a 6-WAR player.
He's got his, I'm guessing he doesn't spend a lot of time on baseballreference.com, although he has, I think, over the last, I know it sounded a little bit like a joke, but there was a little bit of truth to it, John, and I think you and I were on the same wavelength last week. That hug from Schilt, was more the metaphor of like embracing Fernando Tatis Jr. for what it is that he's doing here, that we can celebrate you even when you hit a sac fly. We all know, my guy, that you want to hit a nuke in that situation, but hitting the sac fly and being a good team player, especially the next day you go out there and you have that amazing catch and right to rob a home run, like, you are still adding a lot of value to this team, even if it's not the way people had thought. This was not what people thought when they said, we're signing this guy into a long-term contract, and one day we're going to build him a statue. It wasn't because he was going to have really, really high WAR seasons because he was walking. It was because he was going to be hitting a ton of nukes. But, again, he's come out of it. I agree with you about Jackson Merrill. I don't know that we were saying that we don't have any faith in Manny and Tatis. I think we just said, I think I'm going to put my money on Jackson.
Yeah, I think that's right.
To really pop. And listen, maybe it's a little bit of a blessing in disguise to move him up in the order. I don't want to see anybody get hit in the face with a baseball like Luis Ariz did. But, if it gives the opportunity to get Jackson Merrill some more at-bats that he missed over the span of a regular season, then I'm all for it. Like, give him as many at-bats between now and over the remaining 12 as possible, because I want that guy cooking heading into the playoffs. So if there's that opportunity and it presented itself, well, I'm all for it. Let's now frame this as we got to get Jackson as many at-bats as possible, and he's doing some damage when he's in the batter's box. So we're just going to go with that in the top 3. Even when Luis comes back, it's okay. I'm not holding my breath on this, John. I'm just saying you can certainly make a valid case, not for reasons that we've discussed all season long, but for right now. Well, yeah, this guy's hot. Let's get him as many at-bats as possible. Let's put him in that 2-hole, and let's see what happens over the remaining games of the regular season. Fair?
I almost guarantee Luis Ariz is batting second tomorrow. You're probably
right. I know. But a boy can dream.
A boy can dream. I want to read you a part of AC's Padres Daily this morning. It's not groundbreaking, but I want to read it to you because I don't know if you had the chance to. The subheadline of this, which I did not realize until right now, is "Fixed It." Quote, "It wasn't just that Tatis went 5 for 7 with a home run and walked twice in the past 2 games. It was that he did it after looking so bad on Friday. Tatis can be mercurial at the plate. This time stood out, though. Friday was just the third 4-strikeout game of his career, and it took 2 Rockies pitchers a total of 16 pitches to get those 4 strikeouts, so he was terrible. Back to the quote. Tatis went to sleep after Friday's game, woke up Saturday, and got on the phone with his dad. Here's a Tatis quote. I picked his brain. There was some good back and forth. Back to AC. Tatis popped out on the first pitch he saw that night, and then became almost impossible to get out for the next 2 days. What are we, like... I don't understand what I'm supposed to do with the information of every time Tatis is bad, he talks to his dad and then he's good. Yeah, what am I supposed to do with that?
I think it's a bad look, to be honest.
Me too.
I think it's a really, really bad look, and I will go back and I will say, just so people don't think that this is exclusively about Fernando, because I remember way back when Sean Burrows did this. And Dave Magadan was the hitting coach of the Padres, and Sean Burrows was quoted as saying something about having to go to his dad, or he went to his dad, who was a former big league player. His name was Jeff Burrows. And it showed up your pitching coach, and it does. I mean, not your pitching coach, your hitting coach.
Yeah.
It kind of does, even if it's not your intent, it just kind of does, to the point where these guys see these quotes and, you could imagine a coach going, hey, listen, you got a problem. Why don't you call up your dad then? Why don't you call up your dad? I'm going to spend my time working on these other guys because, that's where all the answers are, apparently. The answers aren't in here. The answers are over there. And that's what was said at the time about Sean Burrows. Now, again, Sean Burrows was a first-round draft pick. Didn't work out. Poor guy ended up in a terrible situation in his life, passed away, rest in peace. So I'm not just trying to dump on the guy. But it was the situation that reminds me very much of a player who, was a star caliber player. At least there was a lot of people who thought that Sean Burrows was going to be a really, really good player, to the point where Billy Beane, the former general manager of the A's, said there are like 2 things that are certain in life. Coastal property and Del Mar and Sean Burrows. Didn't work out. But he did say that he was struggling, and he was quoted, and I remember being around. I was pretty close with that coaching staff, and they're like, not great. Here, I suspect a lot of people won't really care, about Luis Rodriguez's feelings. They just care that Fernando Tatis Jr. went and had a successful weekend. But
this is like
I'm just suggesting to you, I just think that's the kind of thing you probably should just keep to yourself.
It keeps happening, though. This is like the 4th time this season where it's like, oh, he's slumping, oh, he's doing good. And then, like, you can tell someone asked him, like, so what'd you do to turn it around? Oh, I called my dad. I went and visited my dad. My dad came to town and we worked on my hitting. And like, I get it. His dad has been working on Fernando Tatis Jr.'s swing since Fernando Tatis Jr. was a baby. I get it. The only person who knows his swing better than him is probably his dad. I get it. But like, yeah, can we just have one time, just one, where the turnaround is not attributed to Fernando Tatis Sr.? Because I'm not even like, it's not even that I feel like it's a shot at the hitting coaching staff, although it is. It's just this thing of like, this is an outside force that you can't control. Like, what if Fernando Tatis Sr. gets hired by the Miami Marlins and he's like, sorry, I can't talk hitting with you anymore because you're part of the, is Junior just going to be bad forever? Like, they need to figure out a way for him to get out of these slumps without talking to his dad, I think. Or to your point, maybe just don't talk about it when it happens.
Yeah, I mean, and am I to believe that the only times that these conversations happen, they result in success? Those are the only times that they ever talk about this? Or, are there a lot of conversations that happen, and he goes 0 for 4 with 4 punch outs the next day too?
Yeah.
So like, again, it's just sort of the framing of it all. I think it is, this isn't waving my finger at either the reporter or the actual moment, but I'm just guessing there's a little bit more to it. It's not as simple as, oh, okay, he talked to his dad. I think they probably talk a lot. I think they probably do spend a lot of time on the phone, and I would think that, whatever recent moments of success he has had this year, there is no direct line to his phone log with Fernando Tatis Sr. But again, I just think it's the kind of thing it could end up making somebody. Yeah, we're on YouTube here. Somebody just said maybe he should talk to his dad when they're not playing the Rockies, when they're playing a better opponent other than the Rockies.